Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to be having a look at the It's Fixed number 40 for War Thunder, basically because there's some interesting changes in it, and also at the same time there is some other things to talk about as well. One of the things is we're having a fireside chat today on the Twitch channel. It'll be uploaded on the weekend. If you don't know what a fireside chat is, or at least our fireside chat, it's an opportunity for any community member to come on and basically have a chat about anything War Thunder or Enlisted related. We do it through the Tech Hub Discord, so when I'm streaming today, that's what we'll be doing. So make sure to check it out if you are interested, so you can come along and have your opinions heard and also give you a platform. The reason why we started this idea is because a lot of people were talking about the fact that they felt like they were unheard or they weren't able to get their voice out there. So why not give people a platform? And so that's pretty much why we do it. It's as simple as that. So hopefully I'll see you there. And also at the same time, let's have a look at the changelog. So when it comes to the ground changes, they've actually decided to modify how artillery works. They've put the first 4 rounds of an artillery strike in ground battles are now targeting shots that leave orange smoke trails. So targeting shots may damage vehicles only with direct hits, no splash damage, and the total number of shots and artillery supports has been increased from 12 to 15. So now you'll have more of a visual effect on the ground to see where artillery is coming in. This is actually going to be beneficial, not just for ground players. Obviously, you have the artillery fire thing over you, but it gives you a general area of where it's going to land, but also for aircraft. And I know this sounds a little bit weird, but sometimes it's nice from an aircraft point of view to be able to see where the artillery is being put down, because it's going to be very orange smoke, so it's going to be really easy to spot, which helps in 2 ways. So the first one is if somebody's putting artillery on a position, normally that means that there's a tank nearby, so you can have a look for that tank. Secondly, even though this is a really small chance when it comes to the actual outcome, maybe you get hit by artillery and then you want to stay clear of that area because you don't want to get donked by it. That's happened to me once before, I think, or twice before when flying in a plane, so it's something that you do have to be a little bit worried about, but not hugely. But another thing that this actually does is it kind of nerfs arty in a way. So because they're increasing the number of shots to 15 from 12, because 4 of them are going to be the smoke trail targeting shots, this basically means that instead of having 12, 12 proper rounds, let's call them, in the artillery barrage, you only have 11 now. So it actually cuts the amount of damage that artillery does. Now, artillery is one of those things which I've always seen as a necessary evil when it comes to War Thunder. The fact is, there needs to be mechanics in the game to dig people out of positions. This is why stuff like planes and helicopters are important, but they have to be balanced accordingly, of course. But when it comes to artillery, because of its RNG nature, it can get people out of positions, but it also can massively negatively affect certain types of vehicles and positively affect others. It also is something which is super annoying to die to when it happens. And as somebody who's played a lot of the vehicles, which I feel not too many people touch when it comes to the general game, especially a lot of the lighter vehicles in some of the minor nations, artillery is one of the banes of my existence when I'm playing those general vehicles. But hopefully, this will mean that it'll be more obvious when an artillery strike is falling on you, and also it'll look nicer, which will be interesting. Also, I believe the orange smoke trails do affect thermals as well, so there will be that little ploy in it as well. It looks like they're adding more issues to using thermals, which is great, because if I'm honest with you, thermals in general, when it came to even a year ago or a year and a half ago in War Thunder, were straight up busted. They were so much better than the other standard counterparts, and nowadays, with the addition of dead vehicles, staying around physically, with the addition of the changes to exhausts and also flames and also explosions and also stuff like artillery, it's made them, well, maybe not as balanced as they could be compared to other modes, but it has made it a lot better. The Ariete and the Ariete PSO and the Ariete P, the number of forward and reverse gears have been increased. The gear ratios have been adjusted. So this means that it should be able to get through the gears a little bit better. It should mean that general acceleration forward and backward should be slightly better as well. So a little bit more mobility in the Arietes. The Arietes are in a really rough spot when it comes to the game. They used to have a king advantage, which was the round that they fired out of their 120mm. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of rounds which have been added to the game, which have subsequently meant that using them is generally, not as good, because the round is not as powerful as some of the other ones. So they lost their key advantage, and they've always had a huge disadvantage. Their armor is awful, and also at the same time, instead of having blowout panels on their ammunition, they have an ammo rack in the center of the tank. So it's very much easier to kill them compared to a lot of other top tier MBTs. But at the same time, I still enjoyed spading out the Ariete P. I enjoyed spading out the Ariete, and at some point I'll do the PSO as well. And with the Gen 2 thermals that they have, it's always nice to use them. The Chieftain Mark III, Mark V, and Mark X, the pivot radius has been reduced, so this should mean that they should be able to turn better. The general mobility of the Chieftains is still pretty rough. There's some of those tanks which I actually enjoy quite a lot, but my win rates in them are absolutely terrible. And the major reason is because you get up-tiered a lot in them, and also the vast majority of vehicles that you face are generally better than you because of their mobility. If you look at the Chieftain Mark X at 9.0 and compare it to a Leopard 1A5, it just shows the disparity between the two vehicles when one has thermals, mobility, laser rangefinder, smoke launchers, and pretty much everything you would want from a vehicle, and then you have the Chieftain Mark X, which lacks a lot of stuff and then has supposedly some good armor on the turret, which can easily be pierced by the meta rounds that you find. The M4A276W, the targeting time on the AA machine gun has been increased from 30 degrees to 90 degrees per second, similar to other MG mounts. That's quite nice. It'll be a lot faster. The 2A11 37mm gun, burst fire spread has been increased. Muzzle velocity spread has been increased when firing in burst. So we'll have to see how that affects the vehicle. The M7 76mm, the muzzle velocity of the M42A1HE round has been specified. It's now 853 meters per second, where before it was 800. I don't think that really matters too much because not many people are using that HE. And the M1 76mm, the muzzle velocity of the M42A1HE has been specified to 823 meters per second. So, maybe people are running around using that round. It's obviously good to fix it, but for me personally, I've never found a use for it. The MIM-146 SAM missile, a bug has actually been fixed that prevented armor fragmentation. Wow, so that was definitely not as effective as it could have been. So I'm very, very happy that they fixed that. I've been using the British AAs recently, and the ADATs feels super nice to use, the Canada DATs, but the Stormer, oh my, the Stormer really hurts after the missile changes that they did in the previous update. When it comes to aircraft, they have fixed something with carriers and a few of the other bugs when it comes to certain other vehicles. A bug has been fixed that caused the incorrect launch direction of the right catapult on the AI carrier, the USS Forrestal, which is nice. The carriers have been quite aggressive, in my opinion. Whenever I tried to take off of them, I tend to rip my gear off, but that might be down to me just being dumb, which definitely happens quite a lot, so I don't blame the carriers for that. I remember when they were first implemented, though, there was a lot of issues with them, but I'm glad nowadays they're in a much more stable state, and they are beautiful. They do look really, really lovely. The Yak 38 and Yak 38M, the incorrect indication of the thrust direction in the cockpit has been fixed, which is obviously very good. The F3H2, a bug with the aircraft's armoring has been fixed, so I'm guessing it was in the wrong place. The H16, HE111, a bug has been fixed where the lower turret was able to fire through the fuselage, which is obviously a little bit of a problem. There's a lot of turrets like that in the game. They get fixed every so often, but yeah, there is something a little bit odd about them. The B-10B separate bomb drops from the bomb bay has been added for the 1,000-pounders, so this will give it way more use. These individual bomb drops being added for different vehicles has just massively increased their usefulness, not just in ground, but also in naval and even in air if you want to split bomb drops. The I-180S also has separate bomb drops with the low caliber bombs for it. And then the Meteor F Mark 8 Reaper, the premium, it now has separate bomb drops for its 1,000-pounders and also 500-pounders. So for me, this makes this thing a lot more useful when it comes to ground realistic, specifically because of its ability to hit more than one target. The S199, the bug has been fixed that prevented separate gun control. I actually noticed that when I was spitting it out a while ago, but I thought it was just a confliction with what it thought were the cannons and what it thought were the machine guns. But I'm glad that they've fixed that now. The IR-316B secondary weapon menu has been corrected, which is always nice. The SAR, which is the one of the super misters for the Israelis. The weight of the FFR, the FFAR Mighty Mouse pods has been corrected. I'm guessing it was a little bit heavy or light. And the M56D rockets, where they had a bug that prevented armor fragmentation, has been fixed. So now they are going to be more useful. And I generally like those rockets to actually use in general, so it'll be nice to see them be even more powerful now when it comes to them. For Naval, there was only one fix, and it was for the HMS Blackpool, where it had a bug which had been fixed with the depth setting of the Mark 20 bidder torpedo that prevented damage to destroyers and boats. So its torpedoes literally didn't work. Well, luckily now they do. There was also a few other changes when it came to this changelog, including the incorrect display of shadows in areas of accumulation of destroyed and operational armored vehicles has been corrected. I thought they fixed this a while ago. I'm guessing there was still a few issues with it. There was definitely problems when it came to the last major update when it came out, where stuff was either disappearing or reappearing, or smoke clusters were in the wrong place, but I'm glad that they've decided to fix them. Also, long names for missiles and air battles have been shortened in the hood. This is obviously better, as long as they are more clear when it comes to understanding what they are. The FPS drop has been fixed when firing AA machine guns in naval battles, thank God. I'm hoping that that is true, but whenever Baltimore's light up, they annihilate my FPS, and my rig is definitely not slow when it comes down to it. And then the next one is a bug has been fixed with an interpolation switch to the remote key point when watching replays. Which will be actually really nice. Hopefully, when it comes to replays, we get more of an expansion of them this year. It's been a pet peeve of mine for a long time that replays are harder to go through. It's not a huge deal, to be honest with you, but it would be nice to see it a little bit fixed. But anyway, that was the changelog from 2.13.0.109. A lot of decent changes to the game, and I feel like the next set of massive changes will be when the economy stuff comes in for the battle rating changes, I should say. So we'll have to see what goes on there, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Professor X 1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, BRFC 15, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe A, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, and then Kyle Kin, Barine, Lafouche, and also Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.